Schedule for U.S. President Joe Biden as he heads to Europe. This will be his first foreign trip as the American president. The 8-day trip begins on Wednesday and will last till June 16th. The president has a lot of stops to cover, including the UK and Belgium, before a final bilateral meet on the snowy slopes of Switzerland. The trip begins on the morning of June 9, when Biden departs from Washington. The first stop will be at Royal Air Force Mildenhall Station in the UK. Biden's plan is to greet US Air Force personnel at Mildenhall, home to the 100th Air Refueling Wing. On June 10, Biden is set to meet UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. The venue is the idyllic village of Cornwall, the site of the G7 summit. The meet is a move to reaffirm the special relationship between the US and the UK. But there are some difficult topics that the president wants to discuss, with all eyes on Biden to calm the Northern Ireland tensions. From there, it is a 3-day straight of diplomacy. G7 nation leaders huddled together in the English seaside village, charting out the path for new policies and discussing common adversaries. The focus remains on the pandemic, Russia and China. Biden's aim is to rebuild relations with allies after 4 rocky years of the Trump presidency, a gathering that will put Biden's "America is back" motto to test. On June 13th, after wrapping up the G7 commitments, the U.S. President, along with First Lady Dr. Jill Biden, will head to Windsor Castle for a brief meeting with Queen Elizabeth. From there, the Bidens will depart for Brussels. On the agenda is a NATO outreach, several meetings with NATO leaders, and even a supposed private meeting with Turkish President Erdogan. This is Biden's chance to shore up his allies before he heads for the final showdown in Geneva. On June 16th, it is a bilateral that the world will be watching closely. U.S. President Joe Biden and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin will meet in Geneva for the first time since Biden became president, a meet the White House calls vital to defend American interests. The two have tensions to deal with and plenty to talk about, from the Russian military involvement in Ukraine to the cyber hacking incidents that are plaguing the U.S. According to National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, the focus is on understanding and communicating issues face-to-face. Biden will also defend Ukraine's sovereignty during the talks. But a news conference of the two leaders could be a far stretch, with low expectations from both the White House and the Kremlin. Our correspondent Benji Heyer is joining us live from London for more on this story. Hello, Benji. Joe Biden brings his enormous foreign policy body of work to this power-packed foreign trip, which includes perhaps his biggest challenges so far: the pandemic, critical decisions on vaccine distribution, and even a high-profile tryst with Vladimir Putin. What are observers saying about this grand effort?
Yeah, it's going to be a busy schedule indeed for Joe Biden. You've listed some of the main topics that he'll be exploring during that G7 summit, and of course the many days leading up to that really pivotal meeting with Vladimir Putin later next week. This is the first visit that the US president will make since he became the commander-in-chief of the United States, his first trip abroad, and that's why it has such significance. And he's landing in the UK today in the east of England, Mildenhall RAF base. And America already kind of setting out how important this travel is going to be. The White House saying that this will highlight America's commitment to rallying the world's democracies, coming together to shape the rules of the road for the 21st century, defend their values, they say, and tackle the world's biggest challenges. After he lands there, he'll then make his way over to St. Ives, in Cornwall, where the G7 summit will be held over Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Before that, meeting with Prime Minister Boris Johnson. You said in your introduction that one of the big topics that they might be discussing are the tensions around trade with Northern Ireland that have plagued both parts of Britain since, has plagued Great Britain and Northern Ireland since that Brexit deal was drawn up. There's, in effect, this kind of trade border in the Irish Sea, and that's led to a lot of complications in recent months in terms of customs checks. And then, once they've followed that G7 summit, Joe Biden meets Queen Elizabeth at Windsor Castle, which of course is another momentous moment for the US President and the Queen.
You came to my second question, actually, Benji. Help us understand the significance behind the US President stopping by to check in with the Queen. What does this signal when it comes to a post-Brexit UK relationship with the US?
Yeah, that's a really important point. It's worth noting that Queen Elizabeth, of course, has met with every US president since she became Queen, with the exception of one, Lyndon B. Johnson. So this is continuing that pattern, that trend. And meeting the Queen is seen as kind of a staple of US presidents in terms of meeting the British counterparts. It has been a turbulent couple of years with Donald Trump in the White House. And I think the hope is on the UK side that Joe Biden can kind of bring that return to normal diplomacy, for lack of a better term. And the meeting with the Queen will definitely kind of set the tone for that, and will try and bring the countries together. From the UK perspective, they've always seen the relationship with the US as a special relationship. Even after Brexit, which was not condemned necessarily, but definitely questioned by the Barack Obama administration, there seems to be still this connection between the Atlantic cousins, and that will want to be reaffirmed when Joe Biden meets the Queen on Sunday.
Our correspondent from London, Benji Heyer, thank you very much. Moving